Welcome to the Engage podcast, brought to you by Boodle, the most rewarding way to pay. If you haven't already, get onto the App Store and download Boodle. That's Boodil. The Engage podcast is where we speak to some of the most inspiring entrepreneurs and business leaders. In today's episode, we are joined by Sonny Drinkwater, the founder and CEO of WellEasy, the health and wellness member-focused online retailer established in 2021. The business has already made revenues well over £1 million and has backing from a number of angel investors, including one of the founders of Made.com. With WellEasy, members pay an annual fee to shop, similar to that of Costco, and in return they get up to 35% off RRP. The business is going from strength to strength, and in this episode, Sonny provides some hugely valuable insights on how he has grown and scaled his business to where it is today. Welcome to the show, Sonny.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Perfect, brilliant. So let's kick things off. If you could give us a bit of a background on yourself, your story, your upbringing, all the way to setting up the business, really.
Yeah, so originally from Kent. So is my co-founder, actually. So we've been friends since probably about 12 years old, so we go back a long way. So kind of relatively sports-based upbringing, I guess I'd say. Went to good schools, worked pretty hard in school. To some extent, it took a while to start working hard. But quite sporty, played a lot of football and things like that. Went off to kind of Bristol Uni, was where I managed to get into. Fortunately, went to Bristol, met some amazing people there. But my time at Bristol was probably quite different to most students, I'd say, in the sense that even in my first year, I was already quite obsessed with like training and things like that were all kind of big things to me. I was obsessed with health, or at least what I would say now is my idea of health at the time, which is very like my protein, Jimmy, everything that was kind of on trend then. But also entrepreneurship. And I loved content. I don't know how, I think my first exposure to being kind of in content and stuff was like Gary Vee and the people that kind of came about that time. And something just resonated with that sort of content. And I think me as a person, and probably I always say there's a balance of kind of insecurity they're trying to build up against, and also a kind of ambition of what you want to become. It just fitted me at that time. So yeah, kind of went throughout uni, trying things, building things. First business I actually built was like, I tried to take like a university version of Gymshark and make like a bunch of clothing, and then the university kind of cottoned onto it and didn't really want me doing it anymore.
What year was that? Was Gymshark already a brand at that time?
Gymshark was a brand, and I was wearing it very, very often in the gym. Loved the brand, loved everything they were doing. But also because I was actually like, I was a rower in sort of sixth form, went off to uni to row and play a bit of football, but got quite injured. Doing like a 10K or something stupid, like literally the week before uni, and it took me about 6 months to recover. So just became very into the gym, very into like those kind of brands, Gymshark and things. And consequently just into content and into building businesses. So I tried a few things. Next business was a social media business, which was like a positive content social media business, which is all about just sharing the good stuff you see today, the stuff that kind of looks good on kind of reels, the stuff that makes you feel good. Yeah. We just wanted a whole platform of that. None of this kind of crap with it. And that was the second business. And then, moved on to the health and wellness space during university, which...
Amazing. Brilliant. So how did you go from those two businesses in terms of, did they fail? Did you just give up on them? What was the situation to obviously going into the health and wellness space then? Yeah,
I think, so for me, they did fail. Yeah, they did fail to some extent. But also I think it was just immaturity at the time of just not having any kind of real background experience and kind of business building and sort of where to go with that. Just trying things and seeing where they went. So the social media platform actually did quite well. We had, I think within the first month or so, a couple of weeks, we had over sort of 200-300 people using it quite actively. Raised a bit of money from the university, had challenges and things like that. Got it going, and then to be honest, we hit a wall in terms of how we got more people sharing content and the dev time, and me and my co-founder kind of, our time was then spent a bit at uni, a bit going out, still trying to socialise, and it just fell on the back burner. And we couldn't really break that wall. And to be honest, as I say, it's immaturity of not sticking something out. But like that space, and we enjoyed it. But that'd be the main reason. And then I took a bit of a break, kind of socialised a bit more, spent more time with friends, spent more time with my health and wellness. and then really started to get a passion for what I wanted to unlock in the space.
Is that whilst you were working at as a pizza delivery driver as well, I read?
Yeah, I've done Deliveroo driving. Yeah, I did Domino's in my sort of summer holidays, which is actually really good pay. That's it's a really good pay.
Good tips and
very good tips. Honestly, time spent listening to podcasts, listening to people like this. It was amazing. Tim Ferriss, crypto, all the things that came out of that. So
brilliant.
Yeah, I did a few odd jobs like that and stuff as well. Did some jobs while I was at uni, but and then kind of moved on to starting a podcast at first.
Oh, nice.
Again, in sort of health, wellness, mindfulness, and then realised my passion was business building. So set up, Snacksess, which then became WellEasy.
Brilliant. So talk us through, like, obviously you come up with this idea. Firstly, how did you come up with the idea? How did you decide who you were going to go into business with? Was it your idea? Was it, your partner Josh's idea? And then how did you form the business? How did you go about obviously making that into a reality, really? Yeah,
so the reason the business came about is because I think it was more so during my third year of uni, and Josh had a similar episode at uni, is that we actually got quite unwell. I think a lot of health and wellness, or what we consider health and wellness today, is sometimes you have to get unwell to appreciate how nice it is to be well. So I was far too into calorie counting. I was into, as I say, the gym the whole time, kind of knocking back protein shakes and kind of silly grenade bars and stuff like that at the time. Became obsessed with that and drove myself into quite a bad spiral. Was eating about 1,400 calories a day for about 3 to 4 months.
Whilst training as well.
Whilst training double sessions, became obsessed with more and more training, and went on this spiral. But I think in that whole exposure to content and people and how that was trending, started to become quite aware of kind of there's more to food and nutrition to this. Starting to look at not so much calories but actual nutrients in food, and eating for ingredients basically. And became really, really kind of passionate about the area and started to explore it more, started to kind of buy more products and kind of look at it. But, and at the same time, my co-founder had his own issues at university, which was on a similar path as well. We started both exploring that. He was at Birmingham, school friend since young. But what we soon found is that you walk into any supermarket, like up and down the high street, or any mainstream retailer, and it's so difficult, confusing and expensive to actually know what's healthy, to buy what's healthy, and to do that in a way that actually is convenient to you as well. The first products you see have lists of ingredients that you can't even pronounce, right? Things that as long as your arm, they sell for 50, 60 pence. And we just thought, there was interest rising in health and wellness around us, and we could see that. And that is in a lot more people than what people realise today. However, the disconnect between that interest and actually being able to do so was just massive. So we were just like, okay, we were both passionate about building a business. How can we make healthy living easy and accessible to every single person, up and down the country? That was kind of always the big vision. So started kind of iterating through ideas during university. The first business we actually launched, I had a background in kind of B2B. I was working for a B2B startup during university, which was an e-commerce startup actually written. It was like AI handwritten notes.
Oh, nice.
So I had a bit of background in B2B, and we were like, okay, can we do something B2B? Healthy snacks for the office, just a kind of delivery mechanism. Very simple. Stock up offices, send out care packages. But what we soon faced is that, that was simple to get going from a garage, snacks ordered to the garage, into a box, LinkedIn, sales navigator, trying to find the right contacts, right? So kind of the flow was pretty easy to get going. One order turns into 2, turns into 10, etc. Some good PR at the time, kind of young entrepreneurs in lockdown type thing, but managed to get some good PR.
It was during lockdown as well.
During lockdown, so right during lockdown.
So when people were moving out of offices.
Started moving out of offices, and that was really the turning point for us, because at first we thought, this is brilliant. It became like we were stocking up offices. Some of those moved to a care packaging system. We tried to get them subscriptions. 6 months later, we realised we were just like a complete one-off gift. We couldn't connect with any of the people we were sending the boxes to, which was kind of the whole point of what we wanted to do. Education, content, help them know what's actually they're consuming. And then companies just started getting, we were the first to go basically in terms of perks. And although it was a business, Josh and I were like, this is not the same mission or the same feeling we had for the mission that we set out to do. So it was ticking over. It was a profitable business. Like Josh and I have always been quite big on like unit economics, building profitable business and kind of baking that in early, and started to look around at business models that were kind of in this space, maybe some things that have been done in the health and wellness space. Fell in love with Costco. Costco / Amazon Prime, right? In terms of those membership models, the loyalty, the ability to offer better prices, you get some good kind of cash flow up front in terms of the membership, etc. So delved very deep into that model. and how that could be implemented.
Nice.
And basically started to take some of the money we were making from the other business to start building WellEasy quite lean from the start.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how did you get the original business off the ground before WellEasy? Obviously, you've gone into this.
Yeah.
Where did you get the capital from? Was it your own money? Did you go out to investors, or because I did read you went to the university, but was that for that particular business for like a grant? Yeah,
it was. So we raised a small amount of money from the universities. So it was like a 10K grant. But to be honest, I had crypto savings. That,
oh, nice.
Yeah. I kind of fortunately made. I didn't know what the hell crypto was, but
at the right time.
Enough people telling me that crypto was a thing, so I was just like, okay, take that. So I had a little bit of crypto savings, a little bit of savings that I made from uni, and fortunate that our parents lent us about $2,500 just to kind of get some initial stock and things going.
Nice.
And the garage space, which is probably the most valuable thing, right? Is the garage space to actually start. So that was pretty much it. So we just, we tried to get credit terms from suppliers. We said, look, can we get 30-day terms? Get the stock in, and just started to pack boxes. Sat on LinkedIn day in day out. Josh was doing a lot of the packing and supply stuff, and I was just doing LinkedIn Sales Navigator, trying to find contacts.
Wow. Okay, and then you move obviously the business over and sort of rebrand it as such to WellEasy and change the business model up. What obviously it's a completely different business. You're going from B2B to B2C essentially. So how did you have to transform what you were doing in terms of your marketing, in terms of your strategy, etc.?
Yeah, it was interesting. So I think Josh and I have always been quite like B2C inclined.
Okay.
Or at least we liked the B2C companies, right? It tends to be kind of the area we sat. So we knew at the start, we were kind of like, okay, what is conventional in retail? What do they do that tends to work well? So literally Shopify store up, started to load products on there, health and wellness products.
Okay. And where, very sorry to interject, but where are you getting these products from? Where are you finding the wholesalers, the suppliers, and how are you getting in touch with them? And
Google search of best health and wellness wholesalers in the UK. Found like Tree of Life, which was the biggest one at the time.
I know them.
Had their own issues.
In the Midlands.
In the Midlands, So found them at the time. Placed an order with them, an order with Windmill, who are like Biona. Okay. So you see all the Biona products, the organic products. Placed an order with both of those. Again, tried to push for terms. Some they were like, no, pay up front, you're a new customer. So took some of that money into it. So we actually invested. Probably a mistake at the start. We invested quite a lot into stock, which you don't realise in terms of cash flow how important those things are, right? So that was it. So literally got the orders there. All came into the garage. Garage was flooded with products, right? Literally, there was no space to like swing a cat, as the expression says, or pack anything. Threw up a Shopify store. Started to load products onto it. A lot of product descriptions. Shopify does enough at the start to kind of give you a store. Unfortunately, because of the opportunity we had. What we realised about the space before we started, and it's become more profound to us now, is health and wellness retail is just so fragmented, as I mentioned, right? It's so fragmented. So what a lot of brands end up doing is because they can't get straight into the mainstream retailers, the Tesco's, the big supermarket chains, because they're dominated by P&G, Unilever, and the big guys, the giants out there. They all go D2C. That's how they have to start. They try and go D2C as much as they can. There wasn't really a one-stop shop out there, right? Besides like Holland and Barrett, if you want to call it a one-stop shop. There wasn't really a one-stop shop online. So we knew that Google would work. So we basically just threw up PMAX campaigns, Google ads. We didn't know how to do it at the time. We just Googled how to do Google ads. Josh did a lot of that, kind of setting that up and running. Just got the ads up and started to get loads of people coming through. Now the harder part, and it's still a challenge we've had to this day, is that Google is an amazing channel for us, right? It's so good for product discovery. A lot of people come through the door. The hard part is educating on why they need to pay a membership and what the value of that membership is. So that was kind of hard at the start. We had a lot of kind of free trialists that would churn, and we still do to this day. It's still like a company-wide problem is how you solve that and make that better. But enough people coming through the door that were placing orders, packed them ourselves, sent them out, prayed that they would get there. Half would come back damaged, so we get notifications. You have to call customers every day. It's like, sorry. Milks was like, still to this day is like my worst nightmare.
Milk?
Yeah. Plant-based milk. Plant-based milk is the worst thing in the world. So some people would just, because online as well, right? Some people would order cartons full.
Oh, wow.
And you stack these boxes and we take them to the delivery place. Now I put like boxes inside boxes, like stuffing it up. And you pray and then all of a sudden 6 days have gone by and it just says on the courier thing, not delivered.
Oh,
and
no.
like, oh God.
Just sat there in there.
Sat there, yeah. So, and then just from there, orders pick up. Putting more money back into marketing. Again, the model we have is quite good for cash flow. That membership comes back. CAC payback is very quick. None of that stuff I knew at the start. That's all like new terms sort of thing. But a good model and just scaled up. moved it into fulfillment and have scaled up from there.
No, I like it a lot. So obviously in the early days, you've got this sort of deliberation between, do we stick with the model of, you know, getting customers to pay this membership versus do we just make it, you know, anyone can go on there and shop. I suppose what was obviously there's a lot of challenges like you've mentioned there around, you know, customers paying this membership. I suppose what was the reason and rationale for going with that over, you know, just letting anyone go on and purchase without having to have a membership?
Yeah, so as I said at the start, so three key problems exist in this space that we're trying to solve. So one is price. 80% of people in the UK say that price is the biggest barrier to health and wellness purchases for them, right? The second is convenience. At every possible touch point, it's so much easier to shop for unhealthy products than it is for healthy products. And the last is education, right? And knowing what's actually good for you, you know, what actually is put in your body and to trust somewhere to actually do that. So that was the problem that we saw in terms of three. And what the membership model does, it kind of does four very unique things. Three we knew at the time, four we became to very much appreciate. The first is that you have a membership, like most membership places, right? You pay that up front, but you get savings, right? You get savings on the products themselves. And the more you shop, the more you save. So if we could balance out that, let's say for average at the minute, most people make about sort of £15 to £20 saving per shop. At the time, it was a £29 annual membership when we first started. It's now £48. You know, as long as a customer places 2-3 orders, they've made that membership back, if not more. And so, like, it was education around the price savings, and we knew that the more we scaled, that, you know, the more we could pass the prices over. The second is you have a very, very curated range of products. So Costco is known for it's like 5,000 products, right? It's like hyper curated. And we'll probably follow a similar suit, maybe 5, maximum 6,000 products. But what curation gives you is not only the ability to be like trusted as one place, right? You search on Amazon almond butter or peanut butter, right? And you get 10,000 that show up, all different ones that show up. You search on WellEasy, you've got 8 of the best. If not, 8 is quite a lot, right? It might be 6 of the best. And so not only is curation good for trust with the customer, but curation allows you to build economies of scale and volumes through products far quicker than, you know, Ocado would with their 80,000 SKUs.
I get it,
so then we were just like, okay, curation is great for this model. Allows you to scale up more, pass over more savings, which has more value to the membership, which is the kind of the crux of the model. Third thing is once you curate, once you have that range and you have the members there, because we're getting such loyal members that are ordering these products all the time, are kind of first to market with all the new trends. You know, at the minute it's like gut health or keto, whatever it is, right? We're kind of helping those customers. You actually have so much data on that curated range to know where the gaps in the market are. So third level of what we do is, and we're just starting this now, is actually own brand. So similar to Costco, right? That Kirkland brand, we were like, okay, curation allows you to do that, right? So the third thing, we're just like, okay, that's a brilliant opportunity, more savings for the customer, more volume per SKU to pass back to the customer, and more behind our mission of how can we make that easy and accessible, right? And to educate on that. And the last, which we didn't realize at the time, but the lifetime value of this model is really, really high, like industry standard high. I think for us, average customers with us like 21, 22 months. But I think for the model, it sometimes goes 3 to 4 years. Because you've got that loyal purchaser, the membership's there, kind of ties them in the sunk cost of the membership. So the lifetime value is really crucial. And it's all about building that relationship for that one customer that wants to live healthier. So the future of WellEasy is very personalized, very accessibility driven, and also just very trusted, you know, to have the right range of products that meet people where they are, and to educate around them.
Amazing, brilliant. And the hot topic at the moment is AI. Just throwing this out there. I mean, have you got visions of utilising AI for the site in the future, or? Yeah,
we do. We're building some stuff out at the minute. Still in the pipeline, but there's some exciting stuff to come. There's a lot that can be done around like product suggestions.
It's an interesting space. It's one that you're keeping a close eye on, and everyone's talking about it. It's got it's going to come into retail very soon, and it already is. But it'd be interesting to see what you're doing. But so sorry to sort of go on a tangent there, but let's go back to, obviously you've started the business, you've with WellEasy or rebranded the business, and you've started to roll that out with customers. I believe you get to roughly sort of 10k per month, and then look to go out and raise. I suppose, what was the reason and rationale for going to raise, and then talk us through that process as well as from your own perspective of actually trying to secure that funding.
So probably 2-3 months in, orders starting to scale. You're right, sort of 10k in revenue. We kind of looked at the market, we looked at what we were up to. We'd seen an opportunity in what we were doing. Fortunately, right at the start, actually, we we met one of the co-founders of Made.com.
Oh, right, okay.
Julian Khaled, who joined us very early on as like investor and chairman.
Brilliant.
He'd been looking at sort of a similar space, similar business model to what we were trying to do, and I think just wanted to take a chance on Josh and I. So he was with us at the start, brought a lot of kind of industry knowledge that we just didn't have. You know, really good support, and even to this day is like our biggest fan and biggest support.
And how did you? Sorry to check again, but how did you meet him? How did you come across him? What was the scenario there?
LinkedIn.
Oh, wow.
Honestly, I think LinkedIn is the last 3 to 4 years, LinkedIn's been such a powerful place.
Brilliant.
Does what it says it should do.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is
how this is coming about.
That's the thing. So it is really powerful. So it was just LinkedIn, just similar posts. Google, looking at different people, just came up these into this space, health and wellness. Message, fancy a coffee.
Wow.
And it was just connection.
You make it sound so easy.
It wasn't easy at all. It wasn't, and we'll get on to more of the funny stuff because the fundraising is not easy. But it wasn't easy at all. But had 10k revenue. He was with us, kind of supporting us, and we were like, okay, at what point do we go out to fundraise? You know, we had a model that was kind of working pretty well. We were bootstrapped. At the start, pretty much. We were pretty much bootstrapped. So reinvesting the money. However, we realised that if you want to scale this, you need to kind of invest in the future, right? You need money up front for whether it's cash or marketing. You need to scale it up, and it is going to become a capital intensive model. And it is retail is capital intensive, right? You still need cash flow. You still need money there. So we're like, okay, how do we go out and raise money? So Julian gave us some obviously good advice at the start of that. But to be honest, it was literally just LinkedIn, angel investor, you know, just trying to find anyone with that title. The same story that a lot of people tell, but just sitting on LinkedIn like day in, day out, messaging people, look, right, we're going out to raise X amount of money. Just set aside, okay, this is probably what we need to raise. I don't even know if it was the right amount to raise, but we roughly knew what we wanted to raise. Right? Seemed achievable to some extent. So raise, put that in the messages to people. Loads of meetings with people. Like eventually, not easy. Loads of meetings.
Slowly.
Loads of meetings. Helped. Julian made a few intros for us, which was great. And then other angels tend to make intros to other angels. And we managed to get some really, really good angels on board with us. Probably like a lot of kind of smaller ticket angels, but like really good value add angels that knew the space. They liked us. They liked what we were building, and just built that up to about 400,000 over the course of like 6 months.
Nice.
Took a while, right? It's not like an easy thing. It takes a long time, but fortunately we're still growing. Numbers are still looking good. People were kind of still taking a chance on us, and the market was good at the time. So then just raised that again, like we said earlier, through C Legals. Very easy and stuff to do today. Didn't know that at the time. Came across C Legals, was like, okay, we can put the round together, got the money in, and then went back to building.
Okay, brilliant. So what changed from pre-funding to post-funding? I mean, I suppose obviously you're going to scale up your marketing, but I suppose where did the funding go?
A lot of the funding went into the website development.
Okay.
To be honest, at the very start, that was kind of the real what we wanted to improve. Shopify, as I say, is great to get started, but when you're like us, it's a little bit custom, right, with the membership and how you get people through. Like that communication and the whole flow and the journey is really important. So a lot of it went into tech development. So we used a really good agency for that.
Okay. And is it still built on Shopify now? Is it
still built on Shopify, custom build? But the agency we had were kind of guys that were from the Hut Group.
Okay. Nice,
so really kind of good e-commerce guys, really nice guys. Helped us build that. Went obviously into marketing, started launching Facebook ads alongside Google. Probably in hindsight now, you realise that money could be spent better in different ways. So made a lot of mistakes with the money. But we're just scaling up, just new products. We brought on kind of one person for kind of content, so we kept the team very lean. One person for content, one for customer services. And just kind of scaled up from there. Thought in our heads, look, if we can get to about anywhere up to, I don't know, about sort of 100k in monthly revenue, 80 to 100k monthly revenues in the next sort of year to 18 months. Good position to be in to raise another round. So that was kind of the real goal at the time.
Brilliant, amazing.
This podcast is brought to you by Boodle, the cardless payment solution which offers significantly reduced fees, instant settlement of funds, and eradicates fraud and chargebacks. Boodle can sit on your e-commerce checkout as an alternative payment solution, or can offer clients a fully customised payment portal to send out payment links. What's better is that Boodle rewards customers with redeemable points every time they check out. If you haven't already, get onto the App Store and download Boodle now.
So talk us through some of the sort of failures from a marketing perspective, because I did see on LinkedIn and not that this is one of your failures, but I did see that you went and stood outside, I believe it was Whole Foods with flyers and distributing that, which I think is a really good idea, go directly to the market. But I suppose talk us through some of the, the sort of failures of, you get this money in, you try a few different marketing angles, and what were some of those failures really?
So we've learned a lot, to be honest, and I think it's one of those things harder being a first-time founder because you have to make all the mistakes. You've got to make them as quick as possible and learn as quick as possible.
For as low cost as possible.
For as low cost as possible, and you realise that in hindsight, so it's like, okay. But we made a lot of mistakes, but a lot of learnings, and we've tried to be quick with them. But fortunately, as I say, Google has always been a good paid channel. Like, we've always done well with Google Ads. It's always been great to kind of keep us there. So we tried a few different tactics, and I think we realised as well, like, the quality of customer also depends on the channel that it comes from. For example, we've been outside Whole Foods, so if I had a marketing barrier, we stood outside Whole Foods with flyers, handing those out to people with codes on, trying to tell them, look, what you just bought in there, you're going to save more money with us, right? Like, come and shop with us, sort of thing. And to be honest, sometimes those activities are so hard to know what's actually right. And when you're so frugal, like, and we've always been quite frugal, right? You're kind of like, what's the transaction? How many people purchase? But you just don't know sometimes. Like, sometimes those people can come through later on. They might see you on Instagram, etc. So they come through that way. So I think one of the early lessons we learned is that you can't just like rely on one channel, which is sort of, it's counterintuitive to some of the things that I read. Like, I read books on like traction and things like that, and they're like the bullseye method, right? Focus on one channel and stuff, right? And so we were kind of reading that. We're like, okay, Google, let's ring out Google or whatever. And it's like, I don't think it works like that, or at least in consumer, I think it gets a little bit conflated, right? Maybe in SaaS or whatever, it might be different. So we're like, okay, we have to spread kind of where we can. So we started to do more content. Content started to pick up more. People started to engage with that more. Members started to engage with that more. Again, ran Facebook ads, a lot of testing on Facebook. Again, set up a business at a time where Apple got rid of the whole iOS changes, right? So it was all, it changed massively for us in terms of the Pixel. So it wasn't the easiest. And to be honest, so we'll come on to that in a second, but so we were testing different creatives. It was quite expensive. We were seeing the cost of acquisitions as quite expensive. And again, when you're being really frugal and trying to save more money, it's like, how do we justify this? Or like, we even need to improve fast, so we can't do this. And I think the most interesting time was that last year, we really started to see that our kind of affiliate community and influencer community was picking up. Inbound, right? Like, it's kind of one of those things we're so grateful for, to say, like, as in, imagine having a nutritionist or a nutritional therapist coming inbound saying, you've got a code for me to refer my clients, right? So we were just like, there's something here, right? There's definitely something here we need to kind of explore. So we started adding more and more affiliates into what we were doing, trying to kind of work with them better, seeing if we could create content with them. And like anything, you get like 20% of them that are just unbelievable in terms of, oh my god, just return customers every day, like 13, 14 different customers, the best customers, right, that purchase the most, they love what you're doing, they love the service, they'll refer other people. So that channel started to kind of grow. So we brought someone on to help with that and to work with that, and to kind of nurture that channel. And to this day, it's scaling quite well for us.
Brilliant.
Again, being in the health space, you get a lot of those people, health coaches, yoga teachers, etc. Right? So that's doing well. So we've taken this more blended approach, but still very, very like data driven, right? I think we've always been like that. Like, what is the cost of acquisition? What are we spending? How can we justify that spend in relation to the membership revenue we made on the previous month? Because that hasn't gone up enough, then something's not working in the marketing funnel. So just being very frugal, but a lot of mistakes as per.
That's amazing. And with you talk about data there, and it's something that we're equally as interested in. What tools, is there any tools specifically that you're using to measure the data? Obviously, I know you've got the Shopify backend, but is there any specific like sort of SaaS solutions that you use that are actually, quite impactful for the business to measure that data?
So we use, especially for like our affiliate community, which is growing, is Shopify Collabs, which used to be Dovetail. So we had it when it was Dovetail, moved into Shopify Collabs. Really easy, get people set up, onboarded. Explains to them what you're kind of about. They get their codes, they get commission, they can track it all that way. So that's definitely been one. There's a new tool actually we've been using. It's a German tool that someone recommended to us. It's called Klar, Klar. And it's kind of we've always had this issue of like what's the kind of single source of truth. Like, some data tends to tell you different things. You look in GA and it sometimes tells you different from what you're tracking elsewhere, and you're like, okay, what is the real source of truth? So they're trying to be kind of the real source of truth, and I think they're like ex Huel and ex so quite into kind of D2C. So that's another software we've used, but then we've used the conventional ones, GA. We use Triple Well for a bit.
Okay.
But GA is Google Analytics, so Google Analytics we're using. But they've been the main things. But benefit of Shopify is like so many plugins. Like it's kind of too much to choose.
Brilliant.
So you've got all different stuff. Like if we want to track cohorts, you've got like Lifetimely and other apps that you can use for cohorts. So again, Shopify is such a win for a lot of people today to start with.
Yeah, so it's got everything, hasn't it?
Everything.
It's just a great platform to use when you're starting out, but also growing.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the affiliate side of things. Was that a strategy you put in place then, or was that someone contacting you and saying I'd love to be an affiliate for the business, or had you already implemented the strategy and then they started to sort of reach out to you and via inbound? Yeah,
so there's a few reasons for it. One is that like a lot of brands that start, right, you get this hype of like we just need one big influencer and the business is sorted, right? So we were kind of like, okay, that's let's try and go down that route. So in order to do that, we set up a platform where we could give them a code and commission, rather than giving like a Shopify discount. We were like, what platform can we use to try and help? So that's how we initially got looking for it. And we did have a few bigger influencers that we tried to do something with. A couple of them returned like really well. Others maybe not so much. But then we started to kind of see these smaller micro influencers that we started to take a punt on and message them, try to get them signed up, tell them about our mission. And they were really engaged and really active. But like we kind of half-heartedly put effort into it. It was just like a side channel. So I was doing a bit messaging, Josh was doing a bit messaging, other people were kind of messaging at that time. But then we started to see inbound, as I say. So we started to get messages just like, do you guys have codes? Can I share this to my clients, right? And that's when we knew that there's definitely something on this affiliate side. Not to say, by no means have we like fully cracked it. There's still a lot of stuff that we're doing on that channel, whether it's kind of content or whatever we're doing. But yeah, it's definitely a community of people that refer WellEasy a lot to people that are also best customers. We're solving a problem for them, right? And that's also great to build with those people. So yeah, inbounds, we started to reach out to more, start to get more onboarded. They were referring a lot more. As I say, we start to see the data on their customers. So when you can start to see that like their customers place like double the order values, right? Then you're like, okay, that's
something's working.
Something's working, or at least they're a better customer, right? Even if there's 10, we'll take all 10. So that was really how it got going. So, and we just had someone in-house now trying to scale that, work with and nurture that community. But by no means would I say like we haven't fully cracked it. But like it's growing and it's still a very good part of our business.
Amazing, brilliant. So you've got this growth then. Obviously, you've raised the £400,000. The business is really starting to scale. Turnover's increasing, customers increasing. You then decide to do a sort of a top-up raise, would you call it, or was that another round of funding, or was that within the current round? Yeah,
altogether it was kind of another round that probably originally we set out to do a larger round, and it became a bit of a smaller round, I think, given everything that was going on in the market. But yeah, it was a mixture of new angels that we'd met from either from intros to other people or conversations that I was having. Obviously, we were burning money, but not like crazy amount of burn. But we've always been quite conscious, I think, of the food space, right? Like in the last few years, it's just been so much like burning money, margins are low, right? So we knew that kind of from the start. We're like, okay, we do need to be careful. So we were kind of getting ready to kind of raise again. So we started having the conversations I would before. Our revenue was going up. We were seeing good traction in the business. Got some good angels that were supporting through kind of like you've got these different vehicles today. You've got ASAs and other things, right? A lot of stuff out there to kind of help shortcut that. So took on quite a few ASAs, met some amazing angels. We even had about 4 customers invest, which is always amazing to have that, right? So they reached out and say you kind of fundraising. We met them at events as well, which was great. So took that money in and then was kind of looking to raise a larger amount. And traction wise, we were doing pretty well, but I would say under the hood of a business, there was still mistakes and things that we were making that it's fine if you're in a market where there's money just like flowing about. But I actually think, and I'm grateful to this day, that a lot of the investors we spoke to that took the time, the VCs, etc., that we were speaking to look at WellEasy as a business model and see what we were up to, gave us some actually really good feedback on core fundamentals of the business.
Brilliant.
And I actually think what was more valuable at that time is because we communicated so well to existing investors, as well as the new ones. We do monthly updates to investors. We're very honest, we're very transparent about issues we've got, what we're kind of working on. A lot of them had actually decided to come back in and support what we were doing and said, look, like, this moment in time, let's do a smaller round. Let's get some more money and let's go back to kind of improving some of those fundamentals, scale up in a more profitable way. And honestly, Harry, the business now compared to like 6-7 months ago is just like a different business.
In terms of efficiencies,
yeah, just all the things that you kind of not necessarily take for granted. We knew were there, but we didn't optimize.
Yep.
Right? You kind of you forget to kind of optimize those parts of the business. And I think when you're bootstrapped, you have to.
Yeah.
I was listening to a good podcast the other day that was a startup in the US called ButcherBox, and they were talking about box one profitability, right, and how important things like that are. And we started to go back and we spoke to brands and we looked at the products were doing well. We started to see if we could increase margins on brands, etc. We thought the membership price could be kind of increase that a little bit, still save people money, but increase that. And all the fundamental changes we made, scaling influencer, cutting Facebook and social. We don't run any social at the minute.
Wow.
So we cut that.
It's just all organic social.
All organic social at the minute. Probably we'll turn it back on in the coming months. But just at that moment in time, we cut it off. And just focus on the fundamentals. And the business, to this day, as I say, like word of mouth is now 20% plus.
Wow.
And growing as well. Service just got better. We listened. Products were better. Yep. Do you know what I mean? The whole experience, like it's more important for us now to get to like next day delivery than it is for us to scale to X amount of members because it not necessarily scales itself, but it benefits itself massively with this model because word of mouth will grow if they're getting enough value for what they do, for what we do and what they feel. So, the business has changed. So we raised a decent amount, another sort of about, I think it's just about 450 in total. Raised that from existing, new angels, getting in the space, some really good people that knew retail as well. Just kind of back to building now a pretty good business model and trying to scale that up now.
Nice, brilliant. One thing I love there is that you had customers who were that, sort of interested in what you're doing and loved the brand that much that they wanted to invest. Yeah. I suppose the question is, and I'm quite interested around the space of crowdfunding. Yeah. Did that ever enter your sort of thoughts in terms of should we go to and do a crowdfund because we've got these loyal customers who love the brand who want to have a piece of it essentially?
Yeah, so I think we did think about crowdfunding. I had the conversations with CrowdQ, Seeders, etc. Right, so we did think about crowdfunding. From my very limited knowledge or perspective, I think crowdfunding is great when you do it kind of once. There are some companies like Brewdog, etc., that have done it like the whole time, right? Yeah. And that's worked so well for them, and it can work well. But I think for us, like we kind of only wanted to do it once because I think it's a bit of a process in itself. Yeah. It can be quite a long thing to get it all up and running and stuff like that. And you have to also have a lot of the money committed, right?
Already,
prior, so a lot of it,
committed.
that's the thing. So it has to be committed there. So we were like, if we've got 90% committed of what we'd already want at that time, then is it worth going for that 10%? Because we don't want to take too much on, and dilute more than is necessary in terms of what we got. We got a bit better financially at that point. We're just like, okay, a little bit. What do we actually need money-wise now? And so that was the real reason. And we were kind of like, I think for us, a crowdfund will come down the line. I want to improve the service as much as we can, improve the brand as much as we can, and do a substantial crowdfund that gives new investors the ease to know that what they're investing in is a very honest, transparent business model that's doing genuinely well. It's not just overfunded, and it's not, I saw a lot of that even in this space, people crowdfunding, and it was, they either had to apologize to the shareholders and not take the money, right? Or some of them got really badly screwed over.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, and that's, to me, that's never been a policy or an ethics we'd want in the company, right? We were very honest and we want to do what's best by shareholders, customers, everything, right? So we're waiting with the crowdfund.
Okay,
is the main thing.
So
we'll do TBC, but it's definitely worthwhile as a consumer business. You need to do it, and I would love to bring more customers in. And we have a very supportive customer base, so we'd love to do that.
Brilliant. One thing I do want to touch upon, and I suppose this is from sort of a personal experience as well. I've gone into business with people who I've known previously, worked with, and so fellow co-founders. You've gone into business with a very good friend of yours. Yeah. How has that relationship been over the course of the years? Have there been any challenges? I suppose, like, how do you balance friendship and working together? And I suppose, like, the roles you both play, really.
Yeah, he's a bloody nightmare. Nah, joking. Josh is great. So Josh, I've known Josh since about 8 years old. Right, we played football against each other. Went to kind of similar schools. Probably became closer friends in secondary school. Mm-hmm. But we had a relationship that's kind of quite unique in the sense, like, I think the only conversations we ever had were very transactional, meaning that, like, it was always about, like, either business or like something else or optimizing whatever it was, right? Like, it was always that way. I think I would sell like cans of Coke in school and Josh might have sold sweets, right? Like, it was kind of like those sorts of things, right? So similar, part of the same group, but never like close friends. Mm-hmm. and I think went off to university. And again, he was in his own little world and bubble at university, listening to Tim Ferriss and Impact Theory and things like that, right? And I was in my own little bubble listening to Tim Ferriss, Impact Theory, right? And thinking, you listen to that stuff, it's like, I think the difference with Josh and I is that if there was ever someone I knew that would kind of act and do and actually want to build something, it was Josh. Other people at the time that would listen to stuff, right? And it's still the same today. They listen to all the podcasts and things, but they never act. And that's not a criticism. People act later in life, or they choose when they want to, right? But Josh was like raring to go.
He's a doer.
Yeah, he's a doer, and hardest working guy in school. I remember being in maths lessons, and like I was working hard at that point, but Josh would do every single maths paper like 4 weeks before everyone else would. Like he'd have it all done. He could just sit down and he would just work out. Like he would just do it. And he's still to this day is the same as that. So we've had an underlying respect being from like the same friendship groups. Families roughly know each other. Different skill sets, very different people. As I say, like Josh, he can get his head down and work, kind of on his own, his own space, etc. Whereas I like to be around people a bit more and the team and stuff. And I think that's complemented it. And I think it's beneficial that we've never had the friendship that is like, I wouldn't go to him and talk about like girls, relationships, and things like that. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of more, it's not transactional, so it makes it sound really bad. But do you know what I mean? It's more professional, I guess would be the word, or just more motivational and like ambitious conversations that we knew were there.
I get what you mean. Nice. Yeah. And what's your role and his role in the business then?
Yeah, so I'm CEO, Josh is COO. So I do more of the external kind of stuff, whether that's customers, whether that's fundraising, whether that's things like this, PR or anything like this. I'll try and do more of that stuff, although we try and do a lot of stuff together as much as we can, because we're equal shareholding in the business, etc. And Josh does more day-to-day kind of operations, right? Like if there's stuff on supply chain side, if there's logistically we need improvements there, the team, how we take the strategy we've agreed, how the goals get implemented, that's kind of more Josh's domain, and he's very good at that. So yeah, kind of in the business, in the weeds a little bit more than myself, but but a good dynamic and a very respectful dynamic in the sense there's no ego. Like all that matters is like what's going to benefit the business, and we've kind of established that. So. Nice,
brilliant. So, sort of conclude. I suppose there's a couple more points I want to touch upon, and one of them is something we were talking about before, and that's the sort of working from home, working from office. I know you've got quite a flexible culture.
Yeah.
You mentioned there Josh prefers getting his head down, working alone, getting things done from home or wherever that may be, and you're a bit more sociable. You want to be around people. I suppose it's a challenge for every business currently because employees, some want to the flexibility, some want to be in the office, some want to always be at home. I suppose like how have you set things up now, and how are you going to sort of move things forward in the future, I suppose?
Yeah. Again, every day learning this stuff. Generally, like it's coming back to it, like being a first-time founder, you just have to learn at a rate that's just like unprecedented because you're going to make mistakes, and we do make mistakes still with this stuff. But what I would say is, I think what's benefited us, to be honest, is the personality of people and the mission that we have. And fortunately, we've got some people in our team that are just through and through determined, want to work hard themselves, want to do better and improve themselves. And I think more than ever before, that level of self-accountability is such a superpower in your teams. And I think when you combine that with a mission that everyone is kind of centered around, you can go a day without having any real conversations with that team and still get work done because they're doing the stuff, right? And they're doing the work, and you see the outcome, right? At the end of the day, we've always said, look, like what matters to us more is results. So like we have kind of KPIs. We've tried to set goals. We tried to do OKRs like multiple times. They just fail, absolute failures, right? 2 24-year-olds trying to set OKRs is the funniest thing in the world. But we've got a good established kind of framework now of like, Monday morning is like KPI calls. Friday is kind of our brainstorming insights calls from the week. And then teams will kind of meet individually in the week. They need to discuss certain aspects and go on. Nice. So there's not too much communication within the week, to be honest. But I think, as I say, like the team is all very, very like executional.
Yep.
And I really think like, I know most people say they would want that in a person anyway, but more than ever you need to try and like find that and look for that.
Yeah.
Like if I could ask that question outright and hire, like, as in like, do you actually do work? Do you know what I mean? And not in like an insulting way, but as in like, do you on your own, do you just like to get stuff done?
Yeah.
And I think you need that level of getting stuff done to make it work. So that combined with the mission, but saying that, we have got to a point now where it's like we do want to be together a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the workspace in Holborn, London, to obviously come back, and if there's days in the week we need to be together, we'll meet up, etc. And we'll do that more and more. We're hiring a couple more people at the minute, so it's like we'll start to bring people more in, but it's just costs and stuff at the minute as well. It does cost a lot, right? Yeah. When you're being frugal, it's like it adds up. So it's weighing that up as well. Like sometimes, like, do we really need to?
Do we need a space?
Do we need a space? Like, are you sure you're not all right? But it's
or just go to a coffee shop on Friday.
But it does. You need it there, and I think, and as I say, people around us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Julian, the chairman, other people have been very mature, and like, at some point you've got to kind of bring people together for that.
Yeah.
So I think if it was down to me and Josh, we would probably be like, let's just get on with it.
Brilliant. So the final few things, then I suppose where do you see the business going in the future? Where do you want it to be in 5 years? What's the plan for the business? But also yourself, what is the plan for you? Like obviously, very entrepreneurial, set up these businesses, wants to succeed, which is amazing, and you're doing incredibly well. But where do you want it to be? What's the end goal? Is it to sell? Is it to IPO? Is it to merge with someone? Or
we thought about it a lot, and it's we thought about it off and on. And I think sometimes you get in a rut, kind of thinking too much about these questions, can't you? But for WellEasy, at least, the mission is how can we make healthy living easy and accessible to everyone, right? And I think a core part of that is, can we get healthy products, whether it's own brand, more likely own brand than it is kind of the other brands, but can we start to get those prices in the supply chain? Demand is there enough that supply chain can justify that the price of a chocolate bar is the same as the price of a healthier bar, right? Or the price of a Snickers is the same as the price of a much healthier cereal bar, for example, or something that's equivalent. That's always been kind of like a core focus for us. But what I would say is I think there's a lot of conflicting knowledge out there in health and wellness at the minute, which I don't actually think is a bad thing, because I think the more that knowledge exists and the more people debate, the more we get to the right answer. But what there isn't, as I say, is, and I see a massive opportunity for this in Europe, is there is no one addressing the core fundamentals that like underlay every consumer market, which is just price, convenience, and information, right? It's the same principles that made Amazon the biggest e-commerce company in the world, right? It's like they're never going away. The consumer's never going to not care about price. They're never going to not care about convenience, and they're never going to not care about information and selection, right, of products. So we've baked that into like everything that we think about. And a vision for us is, to some extent, can we be, the Amazon Prime in years to come with health and wellness? Can we be the biggest health and wellness e-commerce company across Europe? With genuinely good values, genuinely good ethics, very transparent supply chains, really supporting customers where they are, and the most personalised shopping experience that anyone could have online. Those are kind of the way we see WellEasy. So I think it's a long process. We see it as a very very long one, right? And it's and to be honest, it's probably changed how we first saw it. If you asked me 2 years ago, I would have been like, okay, raise this amount of VC money, we'll scale up, let's see where it is in like 3 years' time. This isn't a 3-year business. Like this is a long business project that we want to really scale up, bring the right VCs on if they want to get on board. But we're in for a big business, and we I think something that Josh and I have become more passionate about is proving out business models. I think it's you look at the Blue Aprons and the HelloFreshes of the world and all the stuff that's going on at the minute, and you see a lot of these consumer companies are quite fundamentally overfunded. And that's, to me, that doesn't benefit anyone. You have to lay off staff. You're not producing anything that's really of value to the customer. They're going to stick around. There's probably a lot of wastage that goes on in that. A lot of money that gets wasted in that could be allocated elsewhere to better projects and better things. So I think as long as we get that core business model right, that's really our passion. And not to say, obviously we believe that is WellEasy, but we'll keep innovating until the core is there, because that's what we want to do. So I say we scale that up. Eventually we would look to exit, or at least some variation of an exit, to be financially comfortable. But to be honest, it is, as I say,
the long-term goals.
It's long-term, and I think being in health and wellness, I'm glad the things exist today around mindfulness, you know, the joys of going for like a cold plunge with your friends right on the weekend. Like, I never
nice
thought, and like, you look at that and think, well, what, that is the most ridiculous thing. But I love that stuff, right? I honestly love that stuff more than anything else. And if I could do that, knowing that I'm a bit financially secure, I'm pretty happy, to be honest. Like, and that's 24. Like, I've toned that down a lot. But like, I'm very happy that I've got a good relationship with my girlfriend. I've got most things that I want.
Amazing.
So that's the rule. Cool.
Brilliant. That's great to hear. And then finally, I suppose that last question. You were that young entrepreneur looking to set something up, and obviously have scaled to the business to where it is today, which is incredible. What sort of one piece of advice would you give to that young guy at university looking to set up a business within the e-commerce space, potentially not in the health food space, but like in another space within e-commerce? What is the one piece of advice over the years that you've learned that you'd give that person now?
I think so. One piece of advice that I think is true to everyone that I've met in this space. And it's kind of an ongoing thing that I use a lot. I mean, it's probably become a bit of a meet now. My girlfriend's got a t-shirt I've got made on, but it's the same thing, right? You do something every day that makes your idea seem more real than the day before. That's all it is to me, and that's all entrepreneurship actually is. You speak to anyone, and like, they're not geniuses. They're not geniuses. Like no one is really a genius, to be honest. Like, if you say you can do something, you can do something. If you say you can't do something, you can't do something, right? Like, it's, try not to think too much and just do something every day that makes it seem more real. And I think that the stepping stones align for themselves, right? Helps to have a bit of money along the way. But it's, that comes from doing that, right? So that's
just do things. Get
try
you
not to
closer
think.
to the,
try not to. It could be as simple as I say, like, look, first business, LinkedIn, right? What does it cost to set up a professional LinkedIn account? Sales Navigator, it costs maybe £100 a month, if that, right? Get on that. Start sending out messages. Get some snacks ordered if you want to do a snack business. Don't do a snack business, but do you know what I mean? It's really it can be that simple. To get started, obviously more challenges come. But like, don't think about the future. Just
get going.
Just try and get going in any way you see possible.
Love it.
Making a podcast.
Yeah, there we go. Brilliant, amazing. Well, what a story, what a journey, and like, huge congratulations to where you are today. And thanks very much for coming on.
No, thank you for having me. It's been a good conversation. Thank you.
Amazing, brilliant. Cheers.
Cheers.